On the night the Moonlight Dragon returned, the sky burned with silver fire, and a village girl discovered she was bound to its destiny. The night sky shimmered like a silver ocean, the moon resting above the clouds like a watchful guardian. Beneath its glow lay the quiet valley of Eldoria, a place of rivers that gleamed like mirrors and forests that whispered secrets to anyone who dared listen. But that night, something stirred in the heavens, something older than the moon itself. Legend spoke of it, the Moonlight Dragon. No villager had seen the beast in centuries, yet songs of its wings still traveled on the lips of wandering bards. They said the dragon was not made of flesh, but of moonlight itself, a living star with scales that glowed like silver fire. And it was said that when it returned, destinies would awaken. Elara, a girl of 16, stood on the grassy hill beyond her cottage, eyes fixed on the night sky. She had always felt a pull toward the moon, as though its pale glow were speaking directly to her. Unlike other children of Eldoria, who laughed at myths, Elara believed. She could feel it, the stories weren't just tales, they were warnings. Her grandmother, the oldest woman in the valley, often told her, "When the Moonlight Dragon rises again, child, so too shall rise the shadow that hunts it. And one among us will be chosen." Elara had never forgotten those words. That night, as the villagers slept, the air shifted. The wind held a strange hum, as if invisible strings were plucked across the valley. Elara's heart pounded. From the distant mountains, a glow began to rise, silver and soft at first, then radiant as though the moon itself had split open. She gasped. It wasn't a glow, it was a shape. A creature with vast wings, gliding effortlessly, each beat scattering shards of starlight across the sky. The Moonlight Dragon had returned. Elara dropped to her knees, unable to breathe. The dragon's eyes, pools of luminous white, swept across the land, and for the briefest moment, they locked with hers. A warmth bloomed in her chest, not burning, but glowing, as if a seed of light had been planted inside her. Then came the sound. From beyond the forests, an echoing roar rose, low, dark, and heavy, like the growl of mountains grinding against one another. The dragon's glow dimmed, its wings tightening as though bracing for battle. Elara's blood ran cold, her grandmother's warning thundered in her mind. So too shall rise the shadow that hunts it. The darkness came swiftly. Clouds rolled across the stars, swallowing the moonlight. Out of the void formed another shape, wings black as smoke, eyes red as molten stone. It was a beast opposite the dragon in every way, born not of light, but of shadow. The Night Serpent. The two ancient forces collided above Eldoria. The valley shook as silver light clashed with burning shadow, illuminating the night with bursts of power that turned darkness to day for fleeting seconds. Trees bent, rivers rippled, and villagers awoke, rushing from their homes in terror. Elara stood rooted, watching as the dragon fought. The Moonlight Dragon released arcs of glowing fire, each strike carving silver trails across the heavens. The serpent responded with torrents of black flame that devoured even the starlight. "By the gods," whispered a villager beside her. "The prophecy is real." Elara didn't hear him. She felt the warmth in her chest intensify, as though the dragon's gaze had marked her for something. Her vision blurred, and suddenly she wasn't only seeing the battle, she was feeling it. Every beat of the dragon's wings pulsed in her veins. Every wound it suffered burned across her skin. Then it happened. The Night Serpent struck, sinking its fangs into the dragon's wing. The Moonlight Dragon roared, light flickering across its body like a dying star. Elara screamed, not just in fear, but in pain that wasn't hers, yet felt as if it belonged inside her very soul. "Child!" Her grandmother's voice rang out behind her. The old woman had come, leaning on her staff, eyes wide with both fear and recognition. "You must not look away. Do you feel it?" Elara turned, trembling. "It's inside me, grandmother. The dragon, its pain, it's inside me." Her grandmother's eyes shone with tears. "Then it has chosen you." The words struck Elara harder than the thunder above. Chosen? What did that mean? She wanted to deny it, to run back into the safety of her cottage and hide beneath her bed. But she could not. The warmth in her chest blazed brighter, spreading through her arms, her hands, her very fingertips until they glowed faintly with pale light. The villagers gasped as they saw it. A child, glowing like the dragon itself. "Look," someone cried, "the moon's flame lives in her." The battle raged on, but Elara could feel the dragon weakening. Its glow dimmed, its movements slowed. The Night Serpent tightened its coils around it, shadows consuming the once radiant beast. "No," Elara cried, her voice breaking. "Don't let it die." And then, something impossible happened. Light burst from her hands, not strong, not wild, but a soft beam, like moonlight flowing from her body. It stretched into the sky, connecting her to the dragon. The creature's dimming glow flared once more, fueled by her gift. The dragon roared, shaking off the serpent's coils, wings blazing brighter than ever. But Elara collapsed, the effort draining every breath from her. Her grandmother caught her, whispering urgently, "You have only awakened the bond. But with it comes destiny. The Moonlight Dragon will not survive this war without you." Above them, the dragon and serpent clashed again, silver against shadow, each strike shaking the very earth. But now, Elara knew, this was no distant legend. This was her story. The villagers gathered around her, torn between awe and fear. She could see it in their eyes. Some looked at her as a savior, others as a curse. Yet none of that mattered. She knew her path had already begun. The Moonlight Dragon had chosen her. And though she did not yet understand why, she could feel it deep inside. She was bound to its fate, and the fate of Eldoria itself. The night roared with the clash of titans, but Elara's whisper carried through the storm of power. "I won't let the light die." And somewhere in the sky, the Moonlight Dragon's glowing eyes blinked once, as if in agreement. The battle above Eldoria raged long into the night. Villagers watched in silence as silver fire clashed with shadows, their homes trembling under the weight of powers too ancient to be understood. But by dawn, both creatures vanished, fading into cloud and mist as though swallowed by the sky. The valley lay broken, trees smoldered where shadow fire had struck, and the rivers glowed faintly where moonlight had fallen like shards of glass. The people whispered in fear and wonder, but their gazes kept returning to Elara, the girl who had glowed like the dragon itself. She sat in her grandmother's cottage, wrapped in a blanket, her body weak but her mind blazing with questions. Her hands still tingled with the memory of light flowing from her palms. She could not forget the dragon's eyes, or the way its strength had surged back through her. "Grandmother," she whispered, "what's happening to me? Why me?" The old woman stirred the fire before answering, her face lined with worry. "Because destiny chooses not the strongest, but the one who listens. You believed in the Moonlight Dragon when others laughed. And now, it believes in you. But I don't know what to do," Elara said. "I'm just me. I can't fight creatures like that serpent." Her grandmother leaned close, eyes sharp despite her years. "You will learn. The bond you share is rare, older than our valley. Long ago, heroes walked beside the Moonlight Dragon, protecting the realms from the Night Serpent's shadow. That bond has returned through you. But beware, such a gift draws enemies." As if on cue, a knock thundered against the door. Villagers poured into the cottage, led by Aldrich, the head of Eldoria's council. His beard was streaked with gray, and his eyes, once kind, burned with unease. "Elara," he said firmly, "what we saw cannot be ignored. You carry the dragon's light. Some call it a blessing, but others fear it is a curse. The serpent came for the dragon, and the dragon came for you. You've brought danger to us all." The crowd murmured, voices torn between awe and suspicion. Elara shrank under their gaze, her heart pounding. Her grandmother rose, staff striking the floor. "Mind your words, Aldrich. The girl saved the dragon's life. Without her, the shadow would already rule these skies." But Aldrich's expression hardened. Perhaps the shadow came because of her. Either way, the bond cannot remain in our valley. If the serpent returns, we will be the first to burn. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some nodded in fear. Others looked guilty for even considering banishment. Elara's throat tightened. Leave? Her entire life had been this valley, these hills, these forests. Could she really walk away? Her grandmother placed a trembling hand on her shoulder. "Child, you must go. Not because they demand it, but because your journey lies beyond Eldoria. The dragon will not rest until its fate is bound to yours. And neither will the serpent. Elara wanted to protest, but deep inside she knew it was true. The warmth in her chest pulsed like a quiet heartbeat, pulling her outward, beyond the valley, toward something unknown. Aldrich stepped forward, lowering his voice. There is a monastery in the White Peak Mountains. Old scribes there keep records of ancient bonds, even of the dragon itself. If answers exist, they will be found there. Go, and may the gods guide you. The villagers parted, leaving Elara in stunned silence. She was being cast out, but also given a path. That night, as the village repaired what it could, Elara packed her few belongings. A worn satchel, her grandmother's silver pendant, and a small dagger her father had once carried. At the door, her grandmother pressed something into her palm, a crystal shard glowing faintly with pale light. This is a fragment of moonstone, the old woman said. It will help you channel the bond when your strength falters. But remember, child, power without wisdom is more dangerous than shadow. Tears blurred Elara's eyes as she hugged her grandmother. Will I ever come back? If the gods are kind, her grandmother whispered. But if not, make the journey worth the leaving. With dawn came silence. Elara walked the narrow road out of Eldoria, the weight of destiny pressing heavy on her shoulders. The mountains loomed far ahead, their peaks white with snow, their secrets waiting. But she was not alone. That night, as she camped by a river, a glow stirred above the treetops. She held her breath. From the mist emerged the Moonlight Dragon, weakened but alive. Its wings shimmered faintly, no longer blazing as before, but still radiant enough to bathe the forest in silver light. Elara rose to her feet, trembling. The dragon lowered its massive head, eyes glowing with recognition. She felt the warmth surge in her chest, answering its call. You came back, she whispered, as though it could hear. The dragon did not speak with words, but with feeling. A wave of reassurance, pride, and determination washed through her. Yet beneath it all lingered pain. The serpent's bite still burned within its wing. Elara reached out, her hands glowing faintly as she touched its scales. Light flowed from her palms, weaving across its wounds. The dragon sighed, the sound like distant thunder, as silver threads of healing stitched across its body. When she finished, she collapsed to her knees, exhausted. But the dragon bent lower, wrapping its wings protectively around her like a cocoon. For the first time, she felt not fear, but belonging. Then it's true, she whispered, staring into its luminous eyes. We're bound. The dragon's gaze held hers, and for the first time, she understood, not fully, not in words, but in essence. Their fates were one. And somewhere beyond the horizon, in the shadows of the world, the Night Serpent stirred. Its hunger was not sated. Its eyes burned with fury. The bond had awakened once more, and it would stop at nothing to consume both dragon and girl before the light grew strong enough to challenge it. Elara did not yet know how to fight, or what destiny demanded. But as she leaned against the dragon's shimmering scales, she made herself a silent vow. She would not run, she would not break, she would carry the light into the darkest places. For the Moonlight Dragon had chosen her, and she would choose it in return. The road to the White Peak Mountains was long and unkind. Days stretched into weeks as Elara crossed forests that whispered in foreign tongues and rivers that ran too deep to wade. The Moonlight Dragon kept close, sometimes gliding silently overhead, sometimes vanishing into mist only to return when night fell. Though weakened, it never left her. Their bond had deepened with each step, each shared glance. She had learned small things, how to steady her breathing when channeling its light, how to listen when emotions surged through their link like waves against a shore. But she had also learned how fragile she was compared to the force that hunted them. The Night Serpent's shadow lingered. She saw it in the unnatural storms that swept the land, in animals fleeing forests, in villages burned to ash where no fire should have reached. Always, she felt the serpent's presence pressing closer, as though it tasted their trail. By the time she reached the foothills of White Peak, her body was weary, her satchel nearly empty, but her resolve sharper than ever. The monastery was hidden, carved into the side of the mountain, its spires rising like frozen flames against the snow. Tall gates of stone barred the entrance, etched with runes that glowed faintly in the moonlight. Elara approached cautiously, heart pounding. A voice rang out from above. "Who seeks the sanctuary of Whitepeak?" "Elara of Eldoria," she called, her breath fogging in the cold. "I carry the bond of the Moonlight Dragon." A stunned silence followed, then hurried voices. The gates groaned open, and robed figures emerged, their eyes wide as they took in her glowing chest and the dragon that circled above the peaks. The eldest monk stepped forward, his beard white as snow, his hands trembling around a staff carved with lunar symbols. "It is true. The bond has awakened again." They ushered her inside, past torchlit halls lined with ancient murals. Dragons of silver and serpents of shadow battled across the walls, while robed guardians stood between them. She felt the weight of history pressing down with every step. In the grand chamber, the elder spoke. "Child, you have stepped into a war older than kingdoms. The Moonlight Dragon and the Night Serpent are not merely beasts, they are forces. One born of light, one of shadow. They have fought since the dawn, each seeking to tip the balance of the world. When neither wins, the cycle begins anew." Elara's hands trembled. "Then it will never end? No matter what I do?" The elder's eyes pierced her. "Not unless the bond-bearer chooses differently. In every age, one is chosen. Some have stood and fought, others have fallen to shadow. Few ever dared to break the cycle." She swallowed hard. Break the cycle? How? He turned, pointing to a mural at the chamber's heart. It showed a girl, her hands raised, standing between the dragon and the serpent. Instead of fueling one, she bound both, weaving their powers into a single thread of balance. "It is said the bond-bearer holds the power to end the war, not through destruction, but through uniting what was torn apart. But beware, the serpent will tempt you. It knows your heart. It will seek your fears and your grief." Elara clenched her fists. "Then I'll resist it." The elder's gaze softened, almost sorrowful. "Bravery is not enough, child. Light without shadow is blinding. Shadow without light is consuming. To carry both, is to carry eternity." Before Elara could respond, the air shifted. The torches flickered. Outside, thunder rumbled, not the thunder of storms, but of wings. The monks froze. "It has found you," the elder whispered. The gates of Whitepeak shook as darkness poured over the mountains, blotting out moon and starlight. The Night Serpent descended, vast as a stormfront, its wings unfurling across the sky. Its roar split the heavens, and the earth trembled beneath its fury. The Moonlight Dragon rose from the peaks, silver fire blazing from its scales, answering the challenge. The bond between them flared inside Elara, nearly knocking her to her knees. "No," the elder urged, gripping her shoulder. "Do not flee. This is the moment. You must choose how the bond is wielded." Elara staggered outside, snow whipping around her as the two titans clashed above. Silver fire collided with black flame, shaking the mountains apart. The monastery walls cracked, monks scattering in fear. The bond surged, dragging her into their struggle. She felt the dragon's pain as claws tore its wing, the serpent's hunger gnawing at her soul. She screamed, light bursting from her chest, trying to hold on. And then she heard it, a voice, deep and smooth as endless night. "Child?" The serpent's words slid into her mind, dripping like honey. "Why fight me? You are small, weak, fragile. The dragon uses you, drains you. With me, you would be strong. With me, you would never be broken again." Images filled her vision, her parents, gone too soon, their faces lost to sickness. The nights she had cried alone, wishing for someone to protect her. The serpent twisted her memories, whispering, "I can bring them back. I can make you whole." Her knees buckled. The warmth of the dragon flickered inside her chest, but doubt gnawed at it. Could the serpent be right? What if the dragon had only bound her for its own survival? "Elara," a voice cut through the shadows, her grandmother's voice, carried by memory, fierce and steady. "Power without wisdom is more dangerous than shadow." She gasped, the light within her flaring stronger. The serpent recoiled, its illusion cracking. "No," Elara whispered, rising to her feet. "You feed on lies. I don't need you. The dragon's presence surged in response, pride and strength flowing through their bond. Its glow blazed brighter, forcing the serpent back. But the elder's words returned to her. Light without shadow is blinding. She froze. If she destroyed the serpent, the cycle would repeat. Another would rise, another war would begin. She couldn't just fight, she had to end it. Elara, the elder cried from the ruins. Remember the mural? Bind them. Her breath caught. Bind them. Closing her eyes, she reached deep into the bond, deeper than before, not only to the dragon's light but to the serpent's shadow. It burned like poison at first, searing through her veins, but she did not push it away. Instead, she held it, both the pain and the warmth, the fear and the hope. Her body glowed and darkened at once, light and shadow weaving together around her. The air trembled, the dragon roared, the serpent hissed, but both felt the pull, drawn toward her like rivers to the sea. Enough, she shouted, her voice echoing across the mountains. No more endless war, no more cycles. You are bound now, through me. A blinding eruption of silver and black burst from her, weaving around both titans, pulling them together. The dragon thrashed, the serpent writhed, but the threads of her will wrapped tighter, fusing light and shadow into a single, spiraling storm. The mountain shook, snow cascaded in avalanches. The monks fell to their knees, shielding their eyes. Then, silence. When Elara opened her eyes, the sky was clear. No dragon, no serpent, only a single shape hovered above, the fusion of both, a being of twilight, scales shimmering silver on one side and black on the other, eyes glowing with balance. It lowered its head, gazing at her with a peace neither had ever known. Through the bond, she felt not hunger, not pain, but harmony. Her body collapsed into the snow, every ounce of strength drained. But she was smiling. For the first time, the war was over. The monks rushed to her side, their voices hushed with awe. She has done it. She has ended the cycle. As darkness closed around her vision, Elara whispered, not ended. Changed. When she awoke days later, the world was quiet. The monastery lay in ruins, but its people alive. And above, the twilight dragon still soared, no longer hunted, no longer hunting. Elara rose slowly, her body weak, but her heart steady. She knew her journey was not over. With the bond she now carried, she would walk the world not as a girl chosen by fate, but as a guardian of balance. The Moonlight Dragon was gone. The Night Serpent was gone. In their place, a new dawn had risen. And Elara walked forward, ready to meet it.